I know a fact about you, Mina, that the listeners might not know. When you were younger, you yourself used to be part of a little band. So
I don't like the way you say little band.
Well, other members of your family, do music on a more serious note, but
yeah, I didn't last very long.
you didn't have the staying power that Elijah did. But you once played music. Which member of the Josie and the Pussycats crew do you think your musical stylings was most similar to?
If we're going to go based off of the instrument I played, Val was as I played the bass.
Big bass girl.
But I don't think I lasted long enough in any of my musical endeavors, whether that was junior high band with the clarinet or this band, to really identify with any of them.
Yeah, I was always more of a recorder player, but music wasn't for me. This is MK300. I'm Korbin.
And I'm Mina.
And we're tackling our watch list of 300 specially curated movies, one at a time, and talking about them. Today we are talking about 2001's Josie and the Pussycats.
For every band, there is a moment when they know they have made it. For one band, this is not that moment.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. You're a great crowd.
Okay, girls, we need the lane now. And your shoes.
They were three small-town girls with big-time dreams.
Who's a rock star? I am.
Who wanted to share their music with the world.
We can't sit around here waiting for it to happen. We are musicians. We should be out there playing music. We do play.
Nobody believed in them.
You suck.
But they believed in themselves.
We're special. Yeah, special ed.
Now, in a world of tough competition,
And that is so sad.
fate is giving the Pussycats the chance of a lifetime.
We'd love for you to sign with Mega Records.
How am I gonna pull this off? I'm a girl from Riverdale. I'm not a rock star.
You gotta believe in yourself.
Things are finally going their way. But between the mania...
Is that Josie?
They're gonna be huge.
The managers
We decide everything. What's hot and what's not.
Welcome to your party.
Who else thinks that Fiona's a freak?
and the media.
We're gonna be on TRL.
This may be the toughest gig they've ever played.
Have you noticed that everything has sort of become all about Josie?
Josie.
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 Spin around.
I made you a rock star.
Tell me you don't love that. Forget it.
You know I never liked you.
No matter what happens, we will always be friends first.
Are you gonna kill me with the guitar?
You messed with the wrong pussycat.
My bad.
Josie and the Pussycats.
A movie that Mina has seen, written and directed by Harry Elfont and Deborah Kaplan. The film is based on both the Archie comic series and the Hanna-Barbera cartoon of the same name, which I did not know at all. When I saw Riverdale and then based on Archie, that was a big surprise today when we were watching this. Josie, Melody, and Val, played by Rachel Lee Cook, Tara Reid, and Rosario Dawson respectively, are three small-town girl musicians determined to take their rock band out of their garage and straight to the top, or remaining true to their look, style, and sound. They get a record deal which brings fame and fortune, but soon realize they're pawns of two people who want to control the youth of America, played by Alan Cumming and Parker Posey. They must clear their names, even if it means losing fame and fortune. And then another fun fact, the film's soundtrack album was very well received, despite the movie not being. It hit 16 on the Billboard Top 200, quickly receiving gold status. Mixed reviews, commercial failure, but possibly a cult film. But to you, Mina, a success right when you first watched it, or where did this movie come to you? Because I'd never even heard of it until a couple weeks ago.
It's not on the list because of someone asking us to watch it. It is on the list because I've seen it and wanted you to watch it. But it's definitely thanks to my mother that I have seen this movie. I think I was probably like 11 the first time I saw it. And then it became one of those movies that I would throw that DVD in if I just wanted something fun to watch. And I'd honestly forgotten about it, but then I don't know what I did to my TikTok algorithm, but a scene from the movie graced my For You page, and then I've been wanting to watch it since. So I was like, we're going to have to watch this. And I thought your take on it would be quite interesting. So
I definitely have a lot of thoughts. Clearly, it has remained a part of the culture, even if I've avoided it because it's appearing on your TikTok page. Also, of course, we've been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Seth Green has a small role in this movie, which is, I think, when you first mentioned it to me.
Correct. I think Seth Green also was in Buffy was definitely part of my memory coming back to me about this movie. It's one of those movies that I watched so much growing up that I haven't watched since leaving home that I think I just kind of forgot about. But as soon as I saw something about it again, all of the feelings about it came rushing back. And then all the quotes that I used to say about it. And it's such a fun movie. And so I wanted to make you watch it.
100% seems like a type of movie that your mom would have had you watch. It's in that late 90s, mid to late 90s. I mean, obviously to 2001. Late 90s, early 2000s aesthetic comedy. Yeah, that 100% makes sense. It opens with the Seth Green, Donald Faison, Breckin Meyer, and the other guy.
Yeah, I have no idea who that other guy is.
Opening scene, which I enjoy. Like, I like a movie that's going to give you something to start. That it's just a setup to get you to the real thing. This isn't the real group, but du jour, their first song is an interesting one.
Backdoor Lover.
Backdoor Lover. That's a strong move to open the movie with. But my favorite part about the boy band is the little monkey.
Yeah, the doctor.
Well, yeah, I think the reason he's my favorite is because it's a callback to another MK300 film, Dr. Zaius. The monkey is named after the monkey in Planet of the Apes.
Yep, pretty good. I think this movie, I agree with you, it's not shocking that my mother would have introduced this to me because I think when it came out and everything, obviously I was already born, but it's peaked of what she was into at the time. And then has some people in it that she loves, and she continued to follow Donald Faison with Scrubs and whatnot. So she's a big fan of his.
Shout out to Clueless. Another connection.
Oh, so good.
And listen to that pod episode that Mina guested on over on Cap.
2 du jour cast members in Clueless. Travis, a.k.a. Marco in...
Breckin Meyer.
Yes.
Who was the husband of the co-writer of this film, Deborah Kane, I believe is her name. Breckin Meyer was her husband from like 2001 to 2012. So like
so interesting
because of this movie, but then they're no longer together.
Well, yeah.
Unfortunate. Hollywood relationships.
Whoa.
They happen. I enjoy Parker Posey. She's in Dazed and Confused. She's in Party Girl. She was in Beau's Afraid last year. She gets the end credit in this movie. Fun villain. Her motivations and her plan, maybe it's not the most believable.
I mean, they definitely tried to push, spoiler alert, they definitely tried to push at the end that she was like made fun of as a kid. And so then she's still pushing this. And I guess it definitely plays into the like imposter syndrome. Like she has made it this far, but she doesn't have it all to her because everyone isn't talking about her.
Right.
So like it makes sense. I think that's something that is my favorite about this movie is the cast. Everyone in it is just like having a good time with whatever their character is supposed to be. And that's really fun to me. Like Alan Cummings in this is one of my absolute favorite roles he's been in. I just think he's so funny.
Bit of a traitor in this movie, wouldn't you say?
A little bit.
He's actually an American, but he's just faking the British accent. That's a good reveal at the end.
So good.
Not to jump completely to the end, but one of the final lines is they're talking about like, what is the moral of the story? And I have to ask, like, what is the moral of the story?
I don't think it knows.
Because I really enjoy the first 3/4 of it. I think it just kind of loses me in that final act when Alan Cumming is secretly an albino and she secretly was bullied as a kid for whatever.
She has a lisp.
Because she has a lisp and she has the fake tooth that she takes out.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, it's basically like they live. Like it's... Which you remember that movie?
Yes,
you watched
yes,
John Carpenter film where it's like subliminal messaging. Everything you see around you is trying to force these capitalistic intentions upon you, which I think is really great. Messaging, and especially for like a 2001 movie, it's spot on.
I mean, even visually, they're doing it to you in the movie itself with giant Coca-Cola ads everywhere, and like the room is all Target ads, or there's McDonald's everywhere. Like even they're just throwing it at you so much, and I like. The movie is just going for it the whole time. And I agree with you. The ending does kind of like go, what the hell?
It doesn't land that same message of kind of anti-establishment, anti-capitalism.
It feels like it's trying to do like James Bond, Austin Powers, like we have to have this big bad that gets discovered at the end kind of vibes and like quashed while the government still lands on top because the like main government guy in it is still just chilling.
Yeah, that's the problem for me, is where it ends up kind of messy in who the real villain is. Whereas like something with They Live, it doesn't try and overcomplicate it. It's just like there's alien creatures that have taken over everything, but you don't need to see the infrastructure of it.
Yeah.
And I think this movie fails when it's like, we're going to go underground and we're going to see the secret, all the people that are working for Parker Posey. And then it also becomes just Parker Posey's own self-consciousness, greed, ill intent that kind of becomes the real villain, and the government, like you said, gets away with it.
Yeah, which I think that says more than anything, because like there's always a scapegoat for the government.
True.
So like, now it just made it so that she got in her own way rather than the government having to get rid of her. And he even says that at the end, like, even if you succeed in this, we were still going to close you all down, like, which I think is interesting.
The subliminal message in music, I think it also gets a little messy with, like, they keep saying it's like they're using rock music only, and there's even the scene where there's like the grunge alternative girl who shows up.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, he literally says smells like Teen Spirit as like the code word. And maybe it's just because it's too early, it's 2001, but it's like all these alternative aesthetics, like they also just end up being capitalized by the music industry and kind of regurgitated and pumped out and commercialized. So I think the movie wasn't really, because it's just generically like rock music, but Josie and the Pussycats isn't like,
well,
rock music, it's like,
yeah, I think it's just using rock and roll because rock and roll has typically been anti-establishment in it, so they're using it for that purpose. However, like I think you're right, we're too close at the time this comes out to like the grunge phase for it to really like show that even that was outsider. Being, like it hadn't fully become where you're just gonna find a Nirvana t-shirt on somebody who has no idea what that band is. Like I think if it came out now or 2016, that would be a different story.
It's fair. And I think we talked about the all the product placement. This movie has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, and like the summary of why it's bad is like it has too much product placement and it's hypocritical. But it's like, it's not.
That's kind of the point of the movie.
Right. It's like, it is now this movie breaks the fourth wall plenty, and I don't love that stuff always. It's kind of when I was rolling my eyes, but it is self-aware where it's like, yes, we're going to take all this money, we're going to slap you in the face with it because every second about this is consumerism. And then at the end, it's like, hey, even movies are pumping in subliminal. It's the next best way to do it.
Yeah, I think it goes a little too far. Like, I think the movie knows what it is the entire time, and it's trying to make sure that the audience knows what it is. But I think it does go a step too far, and you're like, all right, now you're just kind of being a little too much and annoying. But it's still successful enough, and I think purely because of how the cast is playing the roles that it is more successful, and the music is so catchy. I was like, of course people are listening to this music because it is fun, and Du Jour is like the perfect spoof of a boy band, and you're like, why would anyone want to hear the song Backdoor Lover sung at them? But also at the same time, I was singing it along with the movie the whole time, and I just think it's a great example of like what those were to our culture and still are.
I agree. I think the reason the movie works is because the music is actually good. Like, if it was just awful, terrible to listen to stuff, like, then this would never be reclaimed. Something that is a similar film that came out around the same time, early 2000s, is a movie called Rollerball, which is like a guy goes to Eastern Europe and joins a rollerball team, but it's all about like the way sports is being turned into a advertising industry and commodified. And so there's all these like product placements and intense advertising on every single aspect of the sport. Also a movie that was hated, got the director John McTiernan, director Die Hard, thrown in jail because of some fucking tax evasion, wire fraud bullshit stuff. So really just an all across atrocity. But like that movie doesn't really work because it's like the stunts aren't that good and the sport isn't fun and it's not got a good script. But this one it's trying to do the same thing and give the same messaging, but because the music's actually good, like in the end, it's something that I enjoyed and was willing to watch.
I know, I kind of want to download soundtrack.
Got to pull it up on Spotify. And I think that's because the trio too, those main three, like
they're so fun.
Are they playing the music for real?
No, there's no way. There's no way. At one point, the way that Rosario Dawson is like playing the bass guitar, like she's 110% not playing that guitar right now.
That is not how it's
done.
But
that's okay, because DeJour is also wearing their microphones
I mean, yeah,
the entire time.
I knew they weren't singing.
I think it's also leaning into that as well, as like these bands that sometimes are pushed out to the public and are like seem to be like massive over day may not actually be playing the music that they're saying they're playing, and like not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, you know, whatever, they don't have to play the instruments. It is what it is, but
yeah, I mean, it's all,
I just think it's all part of like what they're trying to
it's all
push here.
performance.
Something else I really love about this movie is like the fashion and the costuming throughout it, because I think once you start to know about the subliminal messages, you pick it up more, but you'll just see the same like random cast of characters come through, but they're wearing different colors throughout the day, or they're slightly different fashion. You're like, now they're pushing something else in these songs now, and it's kind of fun to watch how all of the background characters are all wearing pink, and then they're all wearing orange. Now all of a sudden they're all wearing blue, and like now green's the color, and it's like just fun that they don't always tell you when it's happening, but it's like how coordinated it all looks. And then also Parker Posey's outfits are always just fucking crazy, and she's so fun in this. I just think she's just wild.
The art direction is incredible, like all the outfits that are chosen. And also any moment, like when you can go in later and find out like what was the message of that song that they were trying to push when they play it later. It's like, buy Adidas, do this. You know, it's it's always something really interesting. And that's the thing I love about They Live. And it's like, oh, when they, you know, look at money, what's it going to say? This sign, it says obey. And it's just, it's the same thing. It's like, what is that song trying to tell you? And there's the point in the movie where she's listening to the song, and it's like, you're the greatest. You should be the lead singer. All your
Val and Melody are so
they
mean.
Suck. Like they don't do anything. And I always love those reveals.
I think they're cool, and I also just think it's so funny to think about listening to a song and then being like, man, I really need a new pair of Adidas. Like that never popped in my mind.
I want a Big Mac.
But I just think it's so funny because it's like, I feel like they could do that. And
couple other things before we wrap up here. This movie was shot by Matthew Libatique.
Who's that?
Cinematographer of a lot of great things, but he shot Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, very similar movies.
A year before. But like, that movie shot like a music video. That's the whole big thing of it, that it's got, you know, 1,000 cuts in it. It's 3 times as many as a normal movie. And you can see there's like, he has a way of shooting music and energetic, and he also shot Maestro, you know, that came out last
did
year.
he?
So yeah, if you want to shoot good music on screen, this is the guy.
Yeah.
Josie and the Pussycats and Maestro. They try and like get a little bit into some interesting stuff with like race in the music industry with the Rosario Dawson character, but it is literally in like 1 or 2 scenes.
Yeah, like they forget she doesn't get the invite, but we can always bring one person. Or
right, and she has this. She sits down in her hotel room and she's like watching this documentary about the captain Tennille and this guy, the chief, who's played by Babyface, the producer who I believe produced the album and did the soundtrack for this. So like that's the connection.
Okay.
They make up this fake story about how originally it was the 3 of them and they cast out the black guy, but then it doesn't go anywhere from there. Like it doesn't come up again in the story. And I think that's an interesting aspect, but it's just like, give me more of that. Give me like any resolution to this rather than just being like some made up documentary, or at least do like a real thing. Like give me a real example of this happening. Like,
I think that's one of those places where it falls into like, it doesn't want to get too far away from comics or other source material. Cause like they're obviously not going to get rid of Bao. Like that's a main character of this group. And so I think it wants to bring it and put it in your brain, but it doesn't actually want to push the envelope further. It's more interested in pushing the envelope about the subliminal messaging idea, which I think is kind of a loss. I feel like it could do something interesting with it.
Yeah. Carson Daly.
Oh, God. I think that's one of my favorite things about movies from this time is just randomly Carson Daly showing up in them. This is not the first time I watched a movie that came out early 2000s that Carson Daly is just randomly in. And I think it's definitely 110% why he is now the host of The Voice.
I mean, you know, he was obviously the host of TRL, and he's playing himself in this. It's funny because Cody and I just did My Name is Earl on the podcast, and he also plays a very pivotal role in that series.
Does he?
Yeah. In My Name is Earl, the pilot episode, he is the one who teaches Earl about karma. He's like, I found
Carson Daly as Carson Daly, or
well, he's hosting his television show, his late night show.
Whoa!
And Earl watches it on a television screen. And basically Carson Daly's like, I found this belief system called karma where if you do good things happen to you. If you do bad things happen to you. Clearly, him in this movie does not have that belief system because he's trying to kill the
Do you
girls.
think that Carson Daly still has a grudge against Matt Damon for beating his ass in this movie via cardboard cutout of himself?
We know Jimmy Kimmel doesn't like Matt Damon. I don't really know if Carson Daly has any beef with him. Not famous enough for me to care. I would definitely pick Matt Damon in that battle. If there's beef...
It's one-sided, I feel.
It's one-sided. Great Damon cameo, though.
Isn't it, though?
We do love
And it's a
good
very
Matt Damon.
young picture of Damon. Very red and blotchy.
Reminds me a lot of a certain Mark Wahlberg cutout.
Hey, another shout out to my family.
I mean, ends with a good credit blooper reel. Love that. Very
Always
2000s.
fun. Always fun.
3DX. Did they invent 4DX?
Yeah, like 3D.
But with music. I'm more of a 4DX guy. I'd love to watch this movie in 4DX.
I just thought it was funny that she said 3DX, like 3D. And I was like, geez, okay.
Looks to camera. Anything else?
No, I really enjoy this movie. It's so silly and random.
I enjoyed it more than I thought it was.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Is it a good date movie?
I think so. I mean, it's a fun 90-ish minute movie. And it doesn't make you use your brain too much. Like, it wants you to think about things, but you don't have to really focus in on stuff if you don't want to, which I enjoy one that you can kind of shut your brain off and just go, that's some good fucking music, and I'm going to listen to that later.
I think it is a fun date movie, especially because as a couple you can, I think there's things for both
Absolutely.
members of a relationship.
Like, the monkey was all for you.
Yeah, I was really into Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius.
Thanks for listening to the episode. You can follow the rest of our happenings over here at Cody and Korbin Have a Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Cat Podcasts, KHAPODCAST. Please follow us on Spotify, give us a rating, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow along for more.